What's going on, coaches? Welcome to video 3 in this installment of New and Aspiring Coaches. We're going to focus in this video on moving up. So, for aspiring coaches, you'll definitely get to this level once you're a coach. And then for new coaches, or you've been coaching for a year or two, whatever, and you're ready to move up. You want to move up. This is the point in my career that I got to as a coach um, after I had done my first year, and then I had done my second year at Division 2. And there was no promise with the school I was at that next year I was gonna get a contract or anything like that. They had named the interim coach, and so at that point, you know, I felt like it was time for me to explore my options and move up. Now, moving up doesn't necessarily have to be, um, moving to a higher level. Moving up could be moving to a better job in your same level. Whatever moving up means to you. What I want to specify here is moving to a better job, because in coaching you should move to a better job. So if it's at the same division, or if it's at high school, or if it's if it's at pros, or if it's at college, if you're in college, you shouldn't be at the same level and then go over to the same level. You should move up a little bit, whether that's pay, whether that's division, that's level, and then, ultimately moving up, the definition of it for you is what you feel that moving up is. If you feel like you're in a better situation and you're making the same amount, or it's allowing you a better opportunity to grow, then that was a move up for you. You leveled up, So, but I'm going to talk about moving up in terms of levels here, as well as moving up in my definition. So, you guys will get something out of this, hopefully. And here we go. So, in moving up, I'm going to tell you this quick story. I know in the first video, I told you guys I was going to come back to this in terms of checking your voicemails. All right. So I'm going to lead out with this example. Okay. So I got to the point in my second year where, after the season, it was just time. I knew it was time for me to move on. So I wanted a better position. So my first year, I was a head assistant coach. My second year, I was an acting head coach. But then an interim position, was given to someone else over me. And so at that point, I just knew that, hey, you know what, I need to get into another situation that's going to be more solid for me. And so I started putting my resumes out there. I started applying for everything that came open. And in this particular situation, now this is why I say aspiring coaches or current coaches, your voicemail, make sure that you check your voicemail every single day, especially when you're applying for jobs. So I applied for this particular head coaching job, and it was probably beginning of February. Got a call back. It was during conference tournament, so my phone didn't ring, but I got a voicemail. So I didn't see that a number. I didn't see that I missed a call or anything like that. But I got a voicemail and then went to the voicemail. So instead of me being on my voicemails, which I was told a long time ago by one of my bosses, to stay on top of your voicemail, and it was in my heart to continue to do it, but sometimes I would just be lax with it. I would be lazy in doing it. And so I got a call back around mid-February about this head coaching job that I applied for, and it was a great chance that I was going to get it, interview and everything like that. It was a good look. I got a call back. I didn't know the call came through. Didn't ring, like I said. It just went straight to voicemail. So literally, the rest of the month, I was actually following up with. I wouldn't say the rest of the month. Later, after conference tournament, when it was turning around March, I would say that I started to follow up with this particular school for this head coaching job. I had the email that I did not want to get. I got an email back after I sent the email to follow up from the athletic director. And the athletic director said, hey, Coach Shine, thanks for following up. When you when you applied, I called you back on February the 13th, and left you a message, and I have not heard from you since. So I moved on. And I was like, I mean, you talking about eating a big slice of humble pie. Like, I felt so broken, and like I was picking my face up off the ground. Like, I cannot believe that I missed this opportunity to be a head coach, um, at a Division II school, which, it definitely would have been a move up for me because I didn't check my voicemail. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh my gosh. So literally, man, it humbled me, man. And I'm telling you, I mean, I shook it off later that day, but I was just like, wow. And so when I tell you all, make sure if you're applying for jobs, you're trying to move up, if you're an aspiring coach trying to get a job, if you're a coach that you're a new coach and you're settled in your job, check your voicemails, because there may be the thing that you've been praying for and you've been wanting that job. It could be there, but you just didn't check your voicemail, and now you missed the opportunity. So make sure you check your voicemails. I wanted to make sure I told you that. So I didn't do that. So this was at the beginning of me trying to move up. And so that was like the first experience. So I was like, okay, so I had to keep looking, and so kept looking, and nothing was happening. I mean, I was getting the word out. People was wondering why I was trying to leave, but I just had to keep pushing my resume out there. And so I knew one of the greatest opportunities to network and get your name out there and find a job is the Final Four. And it just so happened that the Final Four was like literally in my backyard in Columbus, Ohio, about 45 minutes away. And so I'm like, hey, I'm going to the Final Four. And so this is where, we'll begin to kind of talk about moving up. And one of the first things in moving up, you have to do is bring yourself to a point of desperation, not outwardly speaking, but inwardly, meaning that you're going to do whatever it takes to get to where you want to go. So if moving up for you is getting another job in your league, your conference, if moving up means you getting a head coaching job at another level, or entry level into the level that's higher than you, whatever that is to you, you got to say, you know what, I'm getting it. I'm going for it. But now here's the thing. In the last video, when I was talking to you guys about your craft and taking that extra time and going for it, when I got to this point where it was time for me to move up, my confidence was very high because I knew how I put in the work. I put in the work. I got in results. I won a championship. I was a great assistant coach to my head coach. As a acting head coach, I won. I had top 10 in the nation in several categories. Like, I worked for those things. My team had a 3.2 GPA. Like I put the work in so that those things could happen, because I knew when I moved up, I wanted to have these different things that I've done, that I've worked hard for. I want them to now speak for me. So that's why in video 2, you got to do those things. You got to go after, you got to get better. You got to spend time with your craft. You got to learn from others, because now it's time to move up. So now I can lay on the confidence of, man, I got a good body of work right here. Like, anybody I can talk to or interview with, I can show them some things, and they know, because they're interviewing me, and they know what to look for. They know that this thing right here that I'm presenting, A, B, C, and D, can never happen without you putting in some work. So it can speak for you now. Your body of work can speak for you. And so now it's like, now I can just take those resumes and I can put them out, and I can go forward with all my might. I hate to use the word desperation, but that's kind of, you got to be, like you want it, like you're going to get it, and you're going for it with all your might. You're going for it with all your heart, because you put the body of work behind it. Somebody out there is going to know that I exist. And so you have to go with it with like a desperate measure, like with a zeal that, hey, I want to be a head coach at the Division I level. I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to send my resume. So what I did, this is what I did. So after sending them out and doing as much as I could from my computer, I knew the Final Four was coming up. So you know what? At my particular school, we didn't have the budget to, be able to pay all expense paid to the Final Four and hotel and all those things like that. I didn't, we didn't have that, and so I had to make it happen however I could. So what I did was I went to Office Depot, printed off 50 resumes. I had my business cards, and I said, you know what? Final Four, I can go have fun, but you know what? This is a business trip. So when I got those things, gassed my car up, and I went to Columbus, Ohio, to the women's Final Four, 2008, 2017. Hold on, 2018. Sorry. So I got my business cards. I printed out 50 resumes, and I took off to Columbus, Ohio, to the Final Four, in search of a job. I said before I left that I'm going to get a job, and when I come back, I'm gonna have a job from the Final Four. So I went down there. It was all business, no pleasure. I'm going to network. I'm going to do all that I can do. So take off to go down there, man. And this is how much I wanted it. This is the desperate measures. I didn't have a hotel to stay in, no promise of a hotel. I had food to eat. I actually could have drove back 45 minutes, but at the Final Four, you want to be in the thick of things. You don't want to miss anything. And so I wanted to be down there. Also, you had the convention, which, that was going on, but it cost several $100s. I didn't have that. And so there's a lot of free things and different things that, you just have to take advantage of. So, I was able to go down there and go to different networking things. And, I slept in my car every night, every single night. I had a couple friends that I was able to use their rooms, a shower, different things like that. But I made it happen, and just because I was going for something, and I wasn't going to let a budget or not having a budget stop me from going what I'm going for. So I had to go for it, y'all. And so that's that desperate part of it. Like, some people can sit behind excuses and say, you know what? Nah, I ain't going. I ain't got the money. This is what, Sometimes the best things happen when you just show up. So make sure you're in the right place at the right time, as much as you can control that. Sometimes it happens like that, but make sure you're somewhere that you need to be. If an opportunity presents itself, make sure you're there and don't make the excuses, because there's always opportunities for excuses, but don't make those excuses. Go ahead and go, because sometimes when you go, your blessings waiting for you on the other side. So I wasn't worried about, staying anywhere. I wasn't worried about eating. I wasn't worried about not getting in things. I wasn't worried about, tickets to the Final Four, because I'll be honest with you, by the time the Final Four ended, all those things got taken care of, and I was able to get in things. I was able to go to the games. Like, things just happen, so you have to just show up. You got to be in those places where you need to be in those places where the coaches are, be at the networking events. And once you get down there, things just open up. And here's another networking event I didn't even know about. So I had a chance to go to some things and meet some people that if I wasn't there, I wouldn't have been able to do it. And so, desperate measures. Another thing I want to mention is make sure that you're not thinking realistic. Like, realistic, that can kill a lot of things that could possibly happen to you. I've been around a lot of coaches, and sometimes you might get coaches that they think realistic. They think like, well, since we're this division or we're in this conference, we can't win a national title, or we can't be one of the top teams in the nation. Like, who says you can't? Like, those kind of people, I try to get away from as fast as I can, because, I'm not going to let that kill my vibe. I'm not going to let that kill my dream, because I believe no matter where you are, you can win it all, but it depends on the amount of work that you're willing to put into it. Like, I can outwork anybody on the planet, but do I have it in me to do that? If I set my heart to do it, I can do it. And so if you want to be a Division I coach, if you want to move up, you want to you want to move up into a certain level of coaching, or you want to coach at a certain school or something like that, like don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't. Like don't even hang around the people that think that's unrealistic because of their expectations or because of what they've been through. Don't let that shape what your experience can be. You don't have to take your belief level to their belief level. You can keep your belief level where it is. And so if you had a dream of coaching college or coaching in the NBA or the WNBA or wherever you might want to coach, like you can get there. But it's not determined by their experience. It's determined by what you want and what you dream in your heart. And so don't think realistic. Think extraordinary. Don't think mediocre. Think supernatural. Think high. Think that anything is possible. Long as you put your work in, let that speak for you. So literally, I'm at the Final Four, and so I go to an event, not even thinking. But all the while, I'm down there and I'm leaving here with a job. I am leaving the Final Four with a job. That was my mindset. So I'm talking to people, networking, asking who knows what, just mixing and mingling and listening. Like, I'm leaving with a job. Like, this is what I know. Like, I'm leaving with a job. Like, that's all I knew. That's what I went for. And so I'm at this networking event and I'm walking there, and I wasn't even gonna go to this, but I was asked to go, so I wanted to honor, my head coach at the time, the interim head. I wanted to honor her wishes because she wanted to go and she RSVP'd us, so I went. And so when I went, I got to talking to people and meeting people, and what do you know? Like I ended up meeting this woman. Honestly did not even know who she was, like, and it's crazy because she's pretty known, and so got a chance to just talk to her, and so I'm just thinking nothing of it, and so she stepped away for a minute, and I looked her up online and looked her school up, and I saw that she only had one assistant, and so I was like, so she came back, got to talking to her. I asked her, I said, do you guys carry more than one assistant, or is that all you have? And then she said that, well, hey, we're down here at the Final Four interviewing. I said, hey, I would love to interview with you. So one thing led to another. We got to talking, and before you know it, fast track it, the next day I have an interview with that school, and which led to me being an associate head coach at the Division I level. And so it's like I went down there for a specific thing. I didn't think realistic. I didn't let people shape me, what I was thinking. I didn't let an experience of not having everything paid for stop me from even going to the Final Four. I went with one mission, and that mission was to get a job because I knew I had my resume. And even in that interview, I had things that I did. They were all laid out. And that school was able to see the things that I've done and the different things that came because of that. So, I went for it. And so what I'm saying to you guys is, when you do your body of work, like, you can't just want to move up just because. Like, you have to put that body of work in place so that now you've done this. It's like, oh, you had a good tenure. They can look and say, okay, your GPAs were high, or, if you was pro, you had some wins, or you had players that went on to accomplish different things, or you got a coaching award. Like there's something that you can show to say, hey, you know what? I helped this player get to the pro, or, there's something from your body of work that should be able to speak. I helped my coach get coach of the year. Something needs to speak so that now when you go before somebody and you interview and you put an email out there about yourself, they want to know something significant about you. Why should we hire you? Why should you have the right to want to move up from where you are to a higher level job? Like you have to have that body of work. They're looking at that body of work. So make sure that you are pushing to be your very best at where you are now, so that when it's time to move up, you got this body of work. You can say, hey, I've done this, and boom, it'll speak for you. All right. So that's point number 2. Point number 3, Let's go over the points. We got number one, you got to be desperate. Moving up, you got to be desperate. You got to be willing to do some things that, nobody else will do. Something that's going to take you out your comfort zone. You got to be willing to do it. Shoot your resumes up, make cold calls, talk to people, go to networking things. Go to the Final Four when you don't have money to go, per se. Point number two, can't think realistic, man. You got to go out there. Some people might not think you can have it. They might think you need to pay I listen to people that said, pay your dues, do your time. You got to do your time. Well, how long is that? Is that 5 years? Is that 10 years? Like, so you got to be mindful when you're listening to people because, I became an associate head coach at the Division I level in less than a year and a half from when I started coaching in college. Like, a lot of times you don't see something happen like that. But if you do the work and you put in the time, things will happen. The right place at the right time, opportunities, they will happen because you're ready for them. All right. So got to be desperate. You can't think realistic. Number three, you have to network. You have to network. To be honest, my Division I job, it happened. And, why I wanted to bring that story back around is because one of the coaches that I networked with when I first got the Division II job, I just got to know, and that person was able to vouch for me as a reference when this job came around. And so that helped me to get in the door. And so networking is so amazing. Like, as a coach, you should be contacting a few coaches a day, send a couple emails. You don't have to wait to a Final Four or networking opportunity that's already structured to network. You can start networking yourself. You can social media, message coaches, do a call. Even this week, I've done calls with different people around the country that do specific things. Like I'm training and I'm working with people, with their teams and the coaching staffs and things like that. So, naturally, I'm talking to people and I want to talk to people that are doing what I'm doing so I can get better. But it's also some networking opportunities in that. So, make sure that you're networking because you don't know what relationship is going to open another door for you in another way. And you don't have to network just to get people to be friends with you, or you just networking for the sake of networking. You can be genuine with people because, the relationship that helped me, that gave me a reference for a job, I didn't see that way back. I was just being my genuine self. Like, hey, I just want to learn. Can I come to your practice? Hey, let's hang out. But then over here, I didn't know this person knew this person. And so that connection was made. Somebody was able to make a reference for me and my character and my work ethic. And then it was a perfect match. And so make sure you're networking, strengthen the network that you have, the people that you already know, give some value to them, show them that you care, see how you can help them. Don't always be the person that's asking and you want, and you're sucking the life out of somebody else. Because every time you come around, you just ask, want. Have a season where you give. Hey, what can I do to help you? Hey, can I just, come to your practice? Can I, whatever, can I take you out to eat after practice or something like that? Like, do something to show that you appreciate their value. And I'm telling you, that thing turns around and it comes back in your life in a way that you never imagined. So make sure you network. That's a skill that I learned so long ago when I was in high school. When I got around college coaches, you just can't wait for other people. When I was in college, I was told that I just couldn't wait for colleges to find out who I am, or coaches to find out who I am. I had to reach out, network with them, talk to them, develop a relationship. Like, people don't realize how valuable it is. And so I learned at a young age, man. And so now as an adult, man, you don't know what angle that thing comes back in your life, or when you may need to call on somebody that just to vouch for you or to do a favor, for you. This person may know somebody where you're looking to get hired at. So network. It may come back in that way, it may come back in another way. It might be 3 steps in that, to where this person knows this person, but then this person has heard about you. Like, I've seen all kinds of things. So make sure you're networking, meeting people, because you never know when your next opportunity is going to come. It could be right in front of your face, but if you're not ready, you may not see it. So, or if you haven't taken that time to network, maybe there's some key people in there that now can't say anything about you because they don't really know you, or at least that person can't reach out to somebody that knows you or that's worked closely with you to see what your work ethic is. And then outside of that, it helps because that new employer that you're looking to coach for, they can call your AD. That's one step. They can get your resume online. That's another step. But a lot of times they may not even look at those things if there's not a personal connection somewhere. So, strengthen your network with people, go out of your way to go to events just to meet new people, mix and mingle, meet new people, man. So networking is a key ingredient. So first step, got to be desperate. Second step, you cannot think realistic. Third step, you got to network. And then this last one, it goes along with networking, but make sure you go to events. I'll say this about the Final Four. Like, I went to a lot of events there. The events I'm specifically talking about here are your coaching events. So make sure you take time to go to professional development events. That's where you meet a lot of people. You not only learn a lot of things, but you meet a lot of people. You get an opportunity to mix and mingle with people. You get to sharpen your craft. People remember you. People keep in contact with you. Make sure you're putting yourself out there. Whether that's Final Four, whether that's during the summer, during recruiting. Make sure you're on the recruiting scene. You want to be visible. You want people to see you. You want to be out at camps. Do camps in the summer. I used to do camps. I used to go to, do paid camps in the summer when I was coaching at Division II level in the nearby cities. Just getting to know other people. And to this day, I still reach out to that same organization. They have camps, different places, and they're looking for coaches and, former coaches to come and work them. So that can be an additional income stream for you as you're going for your goal in coaching. So make sure that you are reaching out, you're breaking out of your comfort zone, going to different things, seminars, events, awards, banquets, like anything in your genre. Like when I was at Division II and even at Division I, I would stay going to things. When there's things on your campus, go to those things. Like when there's other events, other coaches, with your networking, it'll set up these kind of things so that you can learn what's happening in the coaching world, so that now you can know what to go to, what not to go to. You want to be at the WBCA events. You want to be at the NABC events, at the men's Final Four. You'll know exactly what to go. So your networking will set up opportunities. So now you're listening, you're hearing things. You know where to be at, where not to be. You know what the news is. You know what the latest scoop is. You want to be in those kind of environments so that, when different moves are made, you might hear somebody talking about a certain job and you might ask about that and it might end up being your job, So you want to make sure that you're, if you're a coach on the men's side, go to the men's Final Four, especially if you want to have a men's college job or you want to move up. Women's side, make sure at the women's Final Four. So going to those events, different things, being around the right people is very key. So just want to summarize this. Moving up, those are my 4 points. You got to be desperate. I just went over my story about my desperation on how I wanted to move up. And so I made sure that I put myself in the right place and went with resumes, business cards, and went for it. Can't think realistic. I could have listened to some people and, they were like, oh, you got to do your time, stay put, different kind of stuff. But I knew it was my time. I know I put the work in. So I knew I was qualified to move to that next level. I had the body of work that will take me there. I've done it. And I feel like with the right person in front of me, I can show them how I can help their program. So I was ready to move up. So I didn't think realistic. Um, Networking. I made sure I stayed networking. A lot of the things that happened to me on my tail end of my coaching career, even things that are happening to me now that I'm working with you coaches and teams and different things like that, it came from relationships that I built before I start coaching. There's people that I talk to and that I pull on right now, that I communicate with, that about stuff that I'm doing now, that I knew them before I started coaching, or when I first started coaching, when I started going to coaching things. I just kept those relationships together, and I kept those relationships. I kept the fire going. So make sure those people you connected with, send them a shout out, send them a happy birthday, send them a written card with your business card in it from your school, and use that mail system at your school to network and to continue to keep those relationships ablaze and vibrant. Let people know that you're thinking about them. It feels good when you get a card in the mail, a happy birthday, or a card in the mail saying, "Hey, we're just thinking about you, coach. Great seeing you out on the road." It feels really good. So, make sure you're sending those things out as well. Email, do a simple email to a coach. Let them know you're thinking about them. Appreciate all you've done, this season, or whatever the case. Just let them know you're thinking about them. And number 4, go to events. Like, going to an event got me my job. I was there at the event. I networked. The networking piece came in on the tail end that actually helped secure it. But the face-to-face interaction with people, you got to go to those events. You got to mingle with people. It's just another way of saying networking, but it's just another piece of it, because you can network from your desk. You can network from your phone, but nothing beats you actually getting out there, beating the pavement, being in front of people, being at events, being at the Final Four games and the conventions and different things like that. You have to be seen out, and then there's people that you can only meet if you're out there. So you have to put yourself in the place of promotion. You have to put yourself in the place of moving up. Those kind of people move up because they're in those places where the opportunities are. So make sure you're putting yourself in the places where the opportunities are. So, man, this has been amazing. Hope you guys have learned something from this 3-series webinar that I've done. It's really my heart. And as you can feel, I hope you can really tell that I was pouring out my heart, because this is my real life story. This actually happened to me. I was an aspiring coach. I was a new coach, and I was a coach in a place where it's time to move up. And I actually walked through those steps. And some of those steps, I didn't know they were steps, as I went. But as I look back, I was like, man, this and this and this happened. And wow, this happened. So that's why I wanted to put this together for new and aspiring coaches, because I had a lot of coaches asking me, man, if I'm a new aspiring coach, what should I do? If I'm a new coach, what should I do? Aspiring new, what should I do? And if I'm in the game and I want to move up, how do I do that? And so that's what created this. And I just wanted to pour my heart, share my heart with you guys. And I hope you got something, for you all that have listened to this. If you got any additional questions, please go to my website and click the contact button. Contact me if you got any additional questions about some of the things I talked about in this video. You just got additional questions, want to know, want to explain one of your situations. Maybe it's something that's unique, and maybe I can give you some advice about it. Please reach out to me, and I will definitely do my best. So till then, appreciate you guys. Make sure you check on my website for any additional products for you coaches. Would love to come in and work with your team. Please contact me on how we can make that possible. So until then, new and aspiring coaches, go for it. It's yours. Talk to you soon.